Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, Barakatah. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. And peace and salutations to Yahakim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Raya with another video, and I got a few articles and precepts to show that famine of the word is right around the corner. We won't be able to do these videos or preach on the highways and byways for too much longer before Esau moves on us to try to stop this word from going out and offset these prophecies. But once Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai sets something in stone, there's nobody that can overturn it. And this is my first article on Reason.com, and the title reads, Senate Democrats are circulating plans for government takeover of the internet, Reason Roundup. And it doesn't matter whether it's Democrats or Republicans or any political party, because they're all just puppets of the elites who are pulling the strings. And this brings me to my first precept in Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, which is speaking of the elect that are in this truth. Woe or destruction to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, speaking of you unrighteous 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, chiefly among you other heathens as well. For the devil, which is speaking of Esau, the so-called white man, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And Esau is about to come down in great wrath because, again, he does know that he has a short time and thinks that by stopping this truth from going out that he's going to offset the prophecies, but that's not going to be the case. Esau's reached the bounds which he cannot pass, and we're just waiting for the Most High to drop that hammer on him. It's going to come very shortly. A leaked memo circulating among Senate Democrats contains a host of bonkers, authoritarian proposals for regulating digital platforms, purportedly as a way to get tough on Russian bots and fake news, which is just a code for GMS, a great millstone, since we're the only ones pushing the truth out there. And again, the elites know that with us pushing that vibration of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that just makes the end of their rulership that much closer. And you'll notice that whenever the powers that be or the government wants to label somebody who's dissident towards them, they label them as a Russian agent or a communist. That's the newspeak term to discredit that person's opinion. And I've read in some brothers' comment section on their videos of people calling us Russian agents and such like that, so you can see how this will play a part in it. To save American trust in our institutions, democracy, free press, and markets, it suggests we need unprecedented and undemocratic government intervention into online press and markets, including comprehensive GDPR-like data protection legislation of the sort enacted in the EU. Titled Potential Policy Proposals for Regulation of Social Media and Technology Firms, the draft policy paper, penned by Senator Mark Warner and leaked by an unknown source to Axios, the paper starts out by noting that Russians have long spread disinformation, including when the Soviets tried to spread fake news denigrating Martin Luther King. Here he fails to mention that Americans in charge at the time did the same, but now it's different because technology. Today's tools seem almost built for Russian disinformation techniques, Warner opines, and the ones to come, he assures us, will be even worse. Here's how Warner is suggesting we deal. Mandatory location verification. The paper suggests forcing social media platforms such as YouTube to authenticate and disclose the geographic origin of all user accounts or posts so they'll know where you brothers are, which I mean they already do know through your IP address, but this will make it legal for them to say, oh, we have their address because they posted terrorist content, and so we have a right to come and arrest them and throw them into a prison camp. Mandatory identity verification. The paper suggests forcing social media and tech platforms to authenticate user identities and only allow authentic accounts. Inauthentic accounts not only pose threats to our democratic process, but undermine the integrity of digital markets. And that's a slippery slope on what can be considered an authentic and inauthentic account, though we would definitely be considered an inauthentic account because our views are against the U.S. government and the powers that be. With failure to appropriately address inauthentic account activity punishable as a violation of both SEC disclosure rules and or Section 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act. Bot labeling. Warner's paper suggests forcing companies to somehow label bots or be penalized. No word from Warner on how this is remotely feasible. Define popular tech as essential facilities. These would be subject to all sorts of heightened rules and controls, says the paper, offering Google Maps as an example of the kinds of apps or platforms that might count. The law would not mandate that a dominant provider offer the serve for free, writes Warner. Rather, it would be required to offer it on reasonable and non-discriminatory terms provided by the government. Other proposals include more disclosure requirements for online political speech, more spending to counter supposed cybersecurity threats, more funding for the Federal Trade Commission, a requirement that companies' algorithms can be audited by the feds and this data shared with universities and others, and a requirement of interoperability between dominant platforms. The paper also suggests making it a rule that tech platforms above a certain size must turn over internal data and processes to independent public interest researchers so they can identify potential public health/addiction effects, anti-competitive behavior, radicalization, which, as you brothers know, we've been put on the Southern Poverty Law Center's Black Identity Extremist Hate Group list, which would be considered a radicalization, just propaganda, because as we have to keep saying, this isn't a color-based thing, this is based on the spirit. Scams, user-propagated misinformation, and harassment, data that could be used to inform actions by regulators or Congress. And of course, these include further revisions to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, recently amended by Congress to exclude protections for prostitution-related content. Salakia. A revision to Section 230 could provide the ability for users to demand takedowns of certain sorts of content and hold platforms liable if they don't abide. It says, while admitting that attempting to distinguish between true disinformation and legitimate satire could prove difficult, the proposals in the paper are wide-ranging and in some cases even politically impossible and raise almost as many questions as they try to answer, suggested Matthew Ingram, putting it very mildly at the Columbia Journalism Review. So as you can see, this devil knows that he has a short time and he's doing anything he can to stop this word. But I'm going to go to another article I have on activistpost.com titled, "Now that Facebook, YouTube, and Apple have come for Alex Jones, they will start coming after the rest of us." And I'm sure a lot of you have heard that Alex Jones has been banned from these platforms, and Alex Jones is just a controlled opposition. He's a disinformation agent, because while he does say some, he does have some truths that he speaks of, for the most part he's bought and paid for by the elites, and they use him to push lies with the truth so they can say he's pushing deadly conspiracies that's putting people's lives in jeopardy. So after they took him down, they can look for anybody else that posts some truths that he may have posted on his platforms and say, oh, they're doing the same thing. So we have a reason to take them out as well for the public safety. August 6th was one of the darkest days in the history of the internet when I learned that Facebook, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Pinterest, and others had colluded to take down content from Alex Jones all on the same day. I knew exactly what was happening. They timed their attacks so that it would hit the press at the beginning of the weekly news cycle on Monday so that their purge would have maximum societal impact. And the fact that there was such overt collusion was obviously meant to send a message. We were supposed to understand that if they can do this to Alex Jones, they can do it to any of us, and so we better shut up and fall in line. Which you sincere Akim and GMS, or any of you brothers coming in the spirit of GMS, aren't going to stop pushing this word, because you shouldn't be scared of these people that can destroy the flesh but not the spirit. I can't even begin to tell you how sick I feel right now. The big tech giants have made it abundantly clear how they feel about all of us, and there is no future for alternative points of view on any of their platforms. And they're mainly speaking of, again, GMS or Great Millstone, because we're the only ones pushing the truth out there. But you can see how we're getting closer and closer to the famine of the word. This is really the point of this article, but now I'm going to finish it off with a few precepts, some classics. This is Amos 8 and 11. Behold, the days cometh, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh, which, as we just read from those articles, is coming very soon. They're getting the so-called bigger guys first, so they can go after the so-called little fish that much easier. So brothers, just keep pushing those videos as hard as you can, because soon enough we're not going to be able to do it. And shortly after the famine of the word, when we can't post videos online, they're going to come after us and throw us into those prison camps, so we won't be able to preach on the highways and byways either, as it says in Revelation chapter 2 verse 10. Salak. I put it on airplane mode so I don't get any interruptions, but I've been having some problems with my internet. It's been slow lately. Revelation chapter 2 verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil, again speaking of Esau, the so-called white man, shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. This is chiefly speaking of that hour of temptation, where you're going to have to decide whether to take that mark of the beast RFID microchip or not. But as it says, be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life. So brothers, don't take that chip. You don't want to miss the chance to be on that first go-around and rule in that first 1,000 years with Yahushua, putting this world in order. So brothers, just keep strong. We're about to go into some hard times. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. I'm going to say a Baba Ball, Kwam Yasharala. Until next time, Shalom.